For those that don't know, Star Wars Celebration went down over the weekend, and it gave us a load of Star Wars news, including a new movie announcement in Star Wars Starfighter, a load of animated shows, including a mall show which sounds sick, but most importantly for this channel, a load of gaming news in particular. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because it's been a little bit quiet on the Star Wars gaming front recently, but there's some good stuff to be excited about here as a Star Wars fan. So let's just dive right into it. The big new game reveal comes from BitReactor and Respawn in Star Wars Zero Company. This is going to be a single-player, turn-based tactics game set in the twilight of the Clone Wars that will let you step into the shoes of Hawks, a former Republic commando leading Zero Company. The squad that you're leading is unconventional, is the way they put it. That includes a clone trooper, a Jedi, a Mandalorian, and others, and it looks like a pretty cool squad. We did get to see that squad in the trailer. We also know through some confirmed details that us, the squad leader, will be customizable with species selection and all of that, and the game is going to have a galaxy map that lets us navigate throughout the system. We did get a brief snippet of gameplay that, yeah, it looks like flat out XCOM Star Wars. And me personally, I'm into that. The game is going to be dropping in 2026, and yeah, I was personally hoping that this one would sneak in at the end of this year, but there's also GTA 6 that everyone's trying to navigate around. I am looking forward to this though, and I know that Star Wars fans, they want Battlefront 3, they want Republic Commando 2, they want the big hitters, right? But the reaction to this game has been a little bit embarrassing, I think, personally. I've seen so much skepticism, so many people writing this one off, in the same way that when Mao did Midnight Suns, people just wrote that one off, and I thought that ended up being a really good game. Some of the Persona stuff didn't quite work, but BitReactor here, who is comprised of ex-Firaxis people, they know how to make a great tactics Star Wars game, and me personally, ever since Republic Commando dropped, I've wanted a tactics Star Wars game, and even though that was a first-person shooter, sure, we haven't had anything like that, remotely like that, since Empire at War, and that was more real-time strategy. So this, I'm personally pretty excited for, especially set within the Clone Wars. Would it have been a natural fit if this was a Republic Commando turn-based game? Sure, whatever. But, I don't know, I feel excited about this, and I'm surprised to the overall reaction of like apathy towards it. I think this could be really, really cool if people are willing to give it a shot. For whatever reason, turn-based tactics games just kind of get a bit of a bad rep, but look at what Baldur's Gate was. I mean, that's a CRPG, granted, this is not the same thing, but that was so unique, and that was a massive hit. And to write off a Star Wars game, set in the Clone Wars with all of this, I can't sit in that camp that are just not excited for this video game. In that little snippet of gameplay, we did see force abilities, grenades, and we also know that choices that you make throughout this video game will have permanent effects, as well as the fact that there will be an insta-death mode, so when you lose that squad member, they are gone kaput. As I said, it is disappointing that 2026 is the date for this one, because we don't have a big Star Wars game now dropping in 2025, but I think the wait will be worth it. Respawn clearly get Star Wars through Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. BitReactor, they get XCOM. And it just seems like a really good matchup here that I just can't get the understanding of why people aren't excited. Fair enough that turn-based maybe isn't for everyone, and it's not as sexy as this third-person over-the-shoulder big action game. But in the Star Wars universe, let me clarify that Star Wars Battlefront 3 could exist. Republic Commando 2 could exist. The KOTOR remake could exist. And so could this game. We don't need to drag one game down to push up the other. Like, this thing within the Star Wars fandom is exhausting. That this is great because this sucks. And, like, why can we not just enjoy multiple things? And everyone loves the Clone Wars, man. And this is something different. And especially with the stakes that they're kind of offering, saying that, you know, it's nearly impossible odds, and something that will consume the galaxy if left unchecked. I think there could be a really cool and interesting story here when I think about some of the Clone Wars storylines that we had in the animated show. Now, with that being 2026, as I said, that means there is no big reveals coming this year. However, there are some things that are going to fill that Star Wars void, which brings us to that Star Wars Fortnite collaboration. And say what you want about Fortnite, right? I'm a very casual Fortnite player, but when they do collaborations, they get it right. The fact is, every May 4th for the past 5 years since Star Wars Battlefront ended support, the best Star Wars game to play on May 4th has always been Fortnite. And now they are doing a full-on Fortnite event and season within Star Wars. And it looks insane. From a skins and characters point of view, we know that the Battle Pass is going to contain Emperor Palpatine as well as some other mashups from within the Fortnite. But we also know there's going to be Mace Windu, Poe, Phasma, and a new Mandalorian skin. And did I mention Darth Jar Jar? I mean, what? We're so back. Perhaps what is most exciting though about all of this is that it's been confirmed that X-Wings and TIE Fighters are going to be playable, flyable, and even more so is how they're doing the events and what they might be teasing with all of that. So, of course, there's going to be theme map locations as there always is with any kind of collaboration season, but there's going to be a 5 mini events within the game. On May 2nd, Imperial Takeover. On May 8th, The Pull of the Force. On May 22nd, Mandalorian Rising. On May 29th, Star Destroyer Bombardment. And on June 7th, Death Star Sabotage. Now, with the game confirming that X-Wings and TIE Fighter is going to be playable, that to me sounds like there is going to be mini events. And by the way, the game is going to conclude with some big live event within the Star Wars realm. Probably it pertains to the Death Star. But you think about it, all of that is leading up to the fact that we're going to be having basically space and air battles in Fortnite. And again, say what you want about Fortnite, they get it. When they do a collaboration, they get it. And every May 4th, I play Fortnite because they do Star Wars so well. So what they are talking about here sounds incredible. It's also been confirmed that we're going to get a new mythic, which is Palpatine's Lightning. And yeah, if you're a Star Wars fan, I don't care what your feelings are towards Fortnite, they do Star Wars shit so well. So if on May 4th and in May, because the season's only going to be like a month long or whatever, I think that you should be diving into this if you are a Star Wars fan. I have a lot of fun playing every year. The season's a month long. There's a load of mini events in there. I think there's a lot to be excited about in regards to Fortnite. Also, to help fill the void of no big Star Wars game dropping this year, is the second Star Wars Outlaws DLC, Pirate's Fortune. This is dropping on May 15th, and this is going to see Kves and Nyx team up with my guy, the legendary Hondo Ohnaka, on a journey that picks up right after the main story ends. Going to be going up against Stinger Tash and her Okana Raiders, infiltrating the Kepi tomb to uncover the secrets and the hidden treasures that it holds. Not just that, but everyone who has Star Wars Outlaws is going to be getting some free gifted cosmetic items that are inspired by Star Wars Skeleton Crew, which will include an outfit for Nyx, a trophy for the Speeder, and a trinket for both the Speeder and the Trailblazer. That'll just be a free item when you log into the game. Now, I understand that Star Wars Outlaws got a lot of criticism at launch, and for me, partly rightly so. I still agree that the narrative structure of Ubisoft games, and we saw it again with Assassin's Creed Shadows, by the way, in that they're trying to give the player this freedom, go do this first or that first, whatever you want to do. That means that the game doesn't come together until that final third. And the final third of Star Wars Outlaws was sensational, like really good Star Wars stuff. But it did feel like a lot of it didn't really come together in the middle. However, I don't think there's a Star Wars game out there that better captures the feeling of the original trilogy than Star Wars Outlaws does. The first DLC, the one involving Lando, it was fun, it was good, but this has been the one that I've been mainly excited for because Hondo's my guy, man. I love Hondo, but I feel like this DLC fits the theme of Outlaws a lot better than maybe the first one did, even though the Sabacc tournament was pretty fun. Now, maybe a few people haven't played Outlaws at all, or they dropped off quite quickly at launch. The game has undergone some big changes since launch, with regards to its combat, no more forced stealth scenarios, and a lot of quality of life improvements as well. But it doesn't make it a remarkably different game, but it has made it a better game. You know, you're seeing a lot more in terms of weak spots to hit enemies with, better usage of the weapons that you pick up, and you can actually move about with them now instead of instantly dropping them. The game feels better, it's better optimized as well, not as bugs. I mean, I had a game-breaking bug on the final mission of the game. I want to say the final mission, I mean the last thing that I had to do before the final cutscene played bugged on me, so I never actually got to see the true ending and I had to go on YouTube for it, which is bad. However, I like Star Wars Outlaws. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. And to be honest with you, I think review scores are all silly anyway. But I do think it's a really competent Star Wars game. And I think it's the most fully realized Star Wars game in feeling like you are actually within the Star Wars universe. But I think with this second DLC dropping, and which might be the end of Star Wars Outlaws, we do not know yet, I think you should give it a shot if you haven't, if you are a Star Wars fan. You shouldn't go in expecting the best Star Wars gaming experience you've ever had, but I think too many people wrote this game off because other people didn't like it. And I think that I've seen it where people have said, you know what, I actually gave this shot and I gave this game a shot and I enjoyed it. But I hope more people do that when the second DLC drops and it's that complete package with all the improvements they've made since launch. I personally still hold out hope that Ubisoft will make a sequel for this game. When I think about some of the best video games out there that have made that sequel and the jump from the first game to the second game, I think about all the work that will go into the assets and everything, I think that a Star Wars Outlaws 2 could be phenomenal if they address the issues from the first game. With the way Ubisoft are, I don't know if that will happen, but I really hope it would at the end of the day. There was no news about Star Wars Jedi 3, the KOTOR remake, Star Wars Eclipse, Amy Hennig's Star Wars game, so we're just going to have to sit and wait a little bit more patiently through a lot more of that. But yeah, I think it was a pretty decent weekend overall in terms of Star Wars game reveals anyway. We know that the next Star Wars celebration is now going to be 2027, which is going to be in Los Angeles. I'd love to go to that, who knows? But yeah, a successful weekend on the gaming front, which in particular is going to be huge on a Star Wars games front. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. We're going to be streaming the content. We're going to be doing reviews. We're going to do a final verdict video on Star Wars Outlaws when all of the content has dropped. But yes, if you are after Star Wars games, make sure you're sticking around on the channel and subscribing. Let me know how you're feeling about everything that I've just mentioned there. What's your favorite thing? Have you played Outlaws? Are you going to play the Fortnite season? How are you feeling about Star Wars Zero Company? Does turn-based tactics throw you off? Or are you like, you know what? I'm willing to give this one a shot, or are you just like, nah, shit sucks and why is it not a third person? Let me know either way. If you enjoyed hearing my thoughts or the way I've kept you up to date on Star Wars games, then consider dropping a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. As I said, Star Wars games, make sure you're subscribed. I'll have you covered on regards to all of that. Regardless, all my socials are linked in the description down below. Otherwise, I hope you have a terrific day. Play games, get gains, and I will catch you in the next one.